Iitao'tsstoyi. Good morning. It is November 19th, 2014. We are in the last little bit of the first winter moon, Iitao'tsstoyi. And I'm out here for my weekly phenological survey at Sikoohkotoki, the turtle waters. Of course, no turtles surfacing these days because it's cold. It's minus 7 degrees today. I guess relatively not that cold, but it's too cold for turtles. Next week we'll be entering into the second winter moon, Sikoohkotoki, when the rivers all freeze over. I don't know if my pronunciation is exactly correct. But anyway, the snow that remains today, and there's plenty of it, has been here for over a week. So there's lots of different tracks and stuff like that, and can't really tell what's recent and what's 5-6 days old. There hasn't been a lot of wind, so we haven't got a lot of blowing, and there was yesterday, it was a little bit warmer. Came up to, I'd say maybe close to 0 degrees Celsius. So we got a little bit of thawing, and so the snow is a bit crunchy on top. But yeah, anyway, I'm just going to hike around today, see what's new, and share it with you. I'm here in the by the edge of the North Wood, along the side of the Oldman River, and I just came across this on this trail. This trail is heavily used, by the way, this little path through here, not only by humans but also by deer and by coyotes, among others. This is a spot where a coyote has very recently urinated and pooped, and you can see that what he's been eating recently has been grass. Probably looks to me like he's been eating this type of brome grass, basically to clean his stomach. Urine has quite a bit of yellowish to it. Not strong, but kind of in between strong, which means he's a little bit dehydrated, perhaps. And cleansing his system with some grass. Maybe he's not feeling too good, that coyote. But it was pretty recent, because it looks like the pee stain at least is fairly new. Looking at the river, you can see that there's a lot more of the river open today than there was last week. Last week all of this was, on this side at least, the side closest to me, was totally closed off, including this little flow here that you see right here. This was completely closed off last week. There was, of course, some open river. There always remains pretty much year-round on this side of the far side of this, what I call the Big River Island, which is this strip here where a lot of the geese nest. On that far side, this bit of water right here usually remains at least somewhat open year-round. So we should start seeing, and maybe even today, we can find some golden-eyed ducks. I'm going to be on the lookout for them, because they should be here by now. I saw one in Calgary a couple weeks back, but they should be down here in Sikoohkotoki and Lethbridge area by now. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for golden-eyed ducks, which is one of our winter waterfowl species. And I'm really interested in the kingfisher, whether he's going to be hanging out here by Sikoohkotoki area this winter, or whether he's going to move downstream toward the wilderness reserve, where there is a little bit more access to river water, but not necessarily so much access to the kind of like in the pond here. In the pond we got pike minnows that are a little bit bigger than the minnows that you can fish out of the river. So I think that the kingfisher would prefer the pike minnows if he can get access to them, but that's the big key, access. So when it was 20 below for several days in a row, a lot of the water closed up, so that I don't think he could have got access to the, or much access anyway, to the pond minnows. But now things should be opening up a little bit more, as we're seeing at the river, they definitely are. So hopefully we'll catch sight of the kingfisher today. Anyway, continue my round. Just come down into the forest main, and there are a couple of magpies hanging around. Iitao'tsstoyi and Blackfoot. I always pay attention to the magpies. There's a coyote. Just called it out. I just seen the coyote run past. Probably the same coyote that I saw the pea spot of. A bunch of magpies down here, waiting for their share of the predator game, whatever happens. See if we can spot him on film here. He was going at a trot when I saw him. There he goes. Couple of them. So I'm not going to pursue them, of course. There's no reason for me to. They're just out here hunting. But, you know, once again, you can see how the magpies will inform you about what's going on. If you follow the magpies, you will find out what's happening out here. So magpies are incredibly aware. I mean, their level of awareness is what I'm striving for. Of course, I'll never be able to achieve it the way they can, because they can fly up above and they can see what's going on from different angles than I can see. But still doesn't mean that it's not a good thing to kind of make that an objective, a goal, to try to be as aware as possible of what's happening. Iitao'tsstoyi, and it's called in Blackfoot, that kind of extreme awareness. And if you follow the magpies out here, you will be following the action of what's happening, who's doing what, where the food resources are. The magpies are, like most corvids, like jays, like crows, like ravens, all of these very intelligent class of birds. They're waiting for us to be human again. So when they call out to us in alarm to tell us, here's an animal over here, what they're expecting us to do is kill that animal so that they can have their fair share. There are occasions when I actually do that and help them out, but for the most part, they're just living in frustration, waiting for us to get our act back together and be human again. It is equally likely that the magpies would alert the coyote to my presence as that they would alert me to the coyotes. Because in reality out here, the magpie's life is very tied in with the coyotes during the winter. A lot of times I will see magpies following coyotes, and a lot of times I will see coyotes following magpies. And so right now, for instance, there are a couple of magpies that are kind of following me, and they may very well be trying to signal to the coyote, or to the coyote couple, because there was two of them, where I am, in hopes that the coyotes will attack me. Now, I have been hunted by coyotes before, never in daylight, but you know, you never want to assume that you won't be hunted. I mean, these are dogs, and they need to eat. And if they, especially later on in the winter when we get to like -30, -40 temperatures, if these coyotes are hungry, they may very well try to hunt after us. That sneeze should be enough to startle them off. But yeah, I regularly carry this buck knife with me as my form of defense. I also have a hunting knife. If I'm out hunting, I have the hunting knife with me. This is just a lock knife that I carry, not only out here, but more especially in places that are frequented by the much more dangerous species, human beings. I don't really have a fear of the coyotes, but I have a respect for them because they are wild dogs, and when it gets cold and their resources kind of dry up, they do get hungry, and it is not beyond the realm of possibility that they will hunt a person. I come across deer every winter that are much stronger than people that are taken down and eaten by coyotes. And like I said, I myself have been hunted by them at night on one occasion. So I know what it's like to face the possibility that you're going to be prey to a carnivorous predator. But in general, I don't fear them, and I see them as much more afraid of us than we need to be of them. And rightfully so. I mean, they do run, as we just saw, when a human approaches, even though most of the time they could probably take us out. We're so soft, especially us moderns. We're so soft and unaccustomed. We only have really our ancestors to thank for not being considered prey by these coyotes, because our ancestors were tough motherfuckers and could go hand to hand with these dogs. But us today, most of us, we would just be very, very quickly dead. Anyway, just wanted to share that the magpies and the coyotes have a very good relationship. In fact, I've come across scenes in the past where, say, like an eagle has killed a goose on the ice on the river, and the eagle is eating the goose, and the magpies and the coyotes are waiting together, side by side. You know, a coyote could be sitting there on its haunches with magpies all around it. And magpies, you know, they're a little bite of protein and stuff, but the coyotes are not going to eat the magpies because they have a relationship. The magpies tell the coyotes where the food is, and vice versa. The coyotes share their food with the magpies, and that was our relationship with the magpies as well. The magpies and the crows and the ravens and the jays, all these corvids. We were just like the coyote, one of the main predators, and now we're just lost. Just learning something right here. This is a female Downy Woodpecker. I had zero previous knowledge that Downy Woodpeckers would eat bullberries. It doesn't entirely surprise me, but for the most part, Downy Woodpeckers are like carnivorous birds. They tap into the trees and they look for grubs, larvae of different insect species. But we just saw it on video. There's no refuting it. That little female Downy just grabbed up a bullberry, and I don't know if she swallowed it. It looked like she kind of like stuck it in her throat pocket and flew away. But she definitely has some kind of intention with it. I've said it before in the past, and I'll say it again. The Downy Woodpeckers, Iitao'tsstoyi in Blackfoot, are very curious birds. They're like the Iitao'tsstoyi, the black-capped chickadees. When I enter the forest, a lot of times they will come to check me out, and they might mimic looking for food as a way to kind of spy on me, you know, in a sense. It's like one of those detectives that works in a shopping center to try to catch shoplifters, where they'll walk along near you and they'll act like they're looking at merchandise and that kind of thing. That's the way that the Downy Woodpeckers and the black-capped chickadees behave when I'm out here in the woods. They'll come and they'll check me out and they'll pretend like they're doing their own business, but a lot of times they're just checking me out. So whether or not she took off with that berry to actually eat it, or whether or not she's like kind of pretending, she said, because she knows that other birds take those berries, maybe she took that berry, because I don't think she swallowed it. Maybe she took it just to kind of pretend like, yeah, I'm just gathering berries, don't worry about me. And took off because she didn't want to swallow it, so she had to rush off to put it somewhere. Could be, you never know. Here at the spring, at the South Pond, where there is a group of mallards. 5 males, 1 female. This could be a family. This could be a mama and her 5 sons, really. From this summer. I was going to head out and look at this muskrat lodge. This is the biggest muskrat lodge that has ever been built. Well, not ever necessarily, but that has been built at Sikoohkotoki in the last 7 years at least. So I was going to go look at that lodge, but now I think if I do so, I'm going to really disturb these ducks, and I'd rather let them be in this little spring of open water They don't want to be on the river. Mallards really are not river ducks. There are ducks that prefer the river. Mergansers, for instance, excellent river ducks. The Goldeneyes, as we'll see maybe today, but certainly as we move further into winter, we'll see the Goldeneyes on the river. But Mallards, they prefer the calm water because they're not fishermen like the others. The others like to dive and catch fish. The Mallards are dabbling ducks, which means they kind of just put their butts in the air, dip their head underwater, and screen for plant material and little invertebrates and that kind of thing. They don't dive, they don't go after moving prey, they're not predators. And so the calm, shallow waters are the best for them. So I don't want to disturb them. I'm going to move on, let them have the spring. Yeah, speaking of river ducks, or river waterfowl, here are a couple of female mergansers. I was just talking about mergansers. These are fishing ducks, or fishing waterfowl. And the Blackfoot name for these waterfowl are Iitao'tsstoyi, which refers particularly to the heads of these females. Oh, there's a goldeneye right there too. Hey, now we got the whole crew. We got the goldeneye, it's a common goldeneye, and a couple of female mergansers. They're both fishing birds. They were both the ones I was just talking about as river species. And I was hoping to see, I had predicted to see the goldeneye today, and sure enough, there he is. So named because he has a golden eye. Hanging out with the mergansers, very interesting. These are all fishing birds. I've seen the mergansers take pike out of the pond that are nearly as long as themselves and swallow them whole. They're a no-nonsense bird for sure. This is the common merganser with the common goldeneye. They see me too, they know I'm looking at them, that's why they're not diving, but normally they would be diving for fish. I'm going to hang out, see if they get comfortable, and see if I can film some of their doings. Having a look around now, I can see that there's actually several goldeneyes and mergansers. Here is a male goldeneye with a male merganser. They're very cued into my presence, and they're kind of allowing the river to take them drifting away from me a bit. One of the common sounds of winter is the whistling wings of the goldeneye ducks. I wasn't able to get the camera out in time, but as I came to sit on this bench that I'm occupying here on this side of the river, I'm sitting on a bench right now. As I came to occupy this bench, there was a goldeneye who was startled by my presence and who flew away, whistling wings and all of that. I'm just going to sit here for a few minutes and see if they happen to come closer and dive and start feeding, because it is really something to see when they pull some of the larger fish out of the water. So I'm just going to hang tight a few minutes and see if I had that kind of filming opportunity. Alright, the birds are starting to feed again. And there's a goldeneye right there. There is a female merganser right there. There's a male merganser. Now notice where they all are. That's a little ice shelf right where the river becomes open, right? It becomes open right there at the high level bridge. And before that, it's all ice. Way up river, it's all ice. Breaks up right after the high level bridge. And which makes me wonder, why is it breaking up after the high level bridge? Is there some kind of maybe a sewage or something like that, storm drain feeding in here that makes the water a little bit more warm? I'm not sure, but you look downstream and you got a lot of open water, right? But where is the majority of the waterfowl activity? Well, it's right in here. It's right at the edges of the ice shelves in the area where the river breaks. And what does that tell you? Well, if you're looking at mergansers and you're looking at goldeneyes, what that tells you is that this is where the fish are. There's no other reason for these mergansers and goldeneyes to be around here except to fish. Now the mergansers themselves prefer larger fish if they can get them, although they're not going to turn their noses up at minnows. The goldeneyes are now that's a merganser there. The goldeneyes are more oh, there goes one goldeneye, more interested in the minnows. Mahoney and I took care of a goldeneye last winter. There's some videos on my YouTube channel about it. Maybe I'll copy a couple of them to the to this video to show. But basically, there was a goldeneye that had been injured. Something had happened to it, and it was picked up in a parking lot last winter. One of the local pet stores called us and asked us if we could rehabilitate it. So we took it home, put it in our bathtub, kept it warm, fed it lots of minnows. It loved minnows, and then when it seemed very healthy, we brought it back to the river, released it. It flew to the water and went back to being the goldeneye. So I know that goldeneyes love minnows, but from what I've seen, the mergansers like a little bit bigger fish. Either case, what they're showing us here is where the fish, if you're into fishing, and you want to be able to eat from the river, where are you going to fish? You better fish on the edge of the ice shelves, right where the water's breaking up. That's where the fish are hanging out, and it makes sense. If you are a fish and you are trying to stay protected from predators like the goldeneyes and kingfishers and any other, whoever is going to be able to see you from above and dive in and grab you, a good place to be would be at the edge of the ice shelf where you can duck under and get some cover away from them. So even though it seems like we're just seeing birds here, we're actually seeing fish as well. Probably most people would associate a berry harvest with middle to late summer, when various fruits are beginning to ripen and that kind of a thing. Here in Blackfoot territory, in Iitao'tsstoyi, things are a little bit different. I would say at least half of the berries, the good edible berries that add to the diet, come into season as we transition into winter, in the first moon, second moon of winter. Yes, there are some midsummer to late summer berries. For instance, Sikoohkotoki, which is, and just Paksinitsaman, which are the gooseberries, the golden currants, black currants, red currants. All those come in at the June-July transition in the moon that's called Misampsota, the long rains. Going into the next moon, when the Saskatoons ripen, you have the Okonoki, which are the Saskatoon berries, a very important berry. In fact, in the songs, they are the berries that give us long life. Misamitapi. Going into the next moon, when choke cherries ripen, of course, then you have buckkeep, the choke cherries. Very important food, good preventative cancer medicine as well. But in any case, after that chokecherry moon, you go into Iitao'tsstoyi, the deer moon, and there's not really any particular fruits that you're gathering during that moon. It's well, there is I guess you'd say the cactus berry. Iitao'tsstoyi would be the berry that you'd pick during that Iitao'tsstoyi. But then you transition into the moon that we're currently in, that we're finishing right now, Iitao'tsstoyi, when the cold weather comes. And this is the time for several different berries. You have Goldeneyes, which includes 3 different rose species as well as hawthorn. You have Iitao'tsstoyi, the silver berry, which will still be available for at least a couple of moons into the winter. And you have magpies, which is the bullberry, which is what I'm going to show you right now. Bullberry, also known as buffalo berry, magpies and blackfoot, the red berry, is a very important food source for vitamin C and for various nutrients, electrolytes and such, this time of year. And this is, hopefully the camera can catch it, but this red that you see here, these are just chock full of bullberries. And they're very easy to harvest. What you need is a little stick and a canvas, or some kind of like a sheet. In the old day it would have been a hide, something to lay underneath the bush to catch the berries as you drop them. They're very easy to harvest. Lots and lots of these berries. I took my students out earlier this week and we harvested some. I'm going to harvest these ones right now just to demonstrate. So you have to make sure that you, hopefully the camera can see this, I'll angle it down a little bit just in case. You have to make sure that you position the tarp or the catch sheet, whatever, such that when the berries fall on it, they don't go just falling off the edge onto the ground. You want the middle part of the tarp sunk. It helps actually. I mean, really this exercise should be done with 3 people. It shouldn't be an individual thing. And usually, in the past when people pick berries, and it was the women's job actually to berry pick, they would go out in groups and they would all pick together and they would all help each other. So you would have multiple people. You'd have a couple of holders of the hide or the tarp or what have you, and then you'd have one person knocking the berries down. Today it's just me out here, and you can make do with one person. I'm going to show you how. Basically, you position the tarp underneath the berries. You want to grab the end of the branch of the berries that you want knocked off. If you grab in the middle and you try to knock off here at the end, it's going to be hard to get the berries off. Ideally, you don't want to hurt the branch. Now, the story that the origin of this harvest technique, where it comes from, is the Napi story. And in the Napi story, Napi's looking in the river and he sees the berries and he tries to grab them and he just gets a handful of water. He gets pissed off. you know, and he can't see the berries, but then the water clears up and he sees them again. He tries to grab them, he just gets a big splash, and he's all upset, you know. He waits, and then eventually figures out he's looking at a reflection. He sees the berries and he gets mad, and he takes this big stick and he beats the bush up, and all the berries fall off. That's the origin of the technique for gathering the berries. And there's still some people, you know, every year when I'm training students, I run into students who are going to take a big bat out there, you know, going literally by the Iitao'tsstoyi and beating the heck out of the bush. But I go by the teachings of brings down the sun, a Iitao'tsstoyi, a beaver man of the turn of the century, who was mocking those people who would break the bushes in order to get the berries. And he advocated being gentle with the bushes. And you don't need to beat the heck out of the bullberry bushes in order to get the berries to fall. All you need is a little tap. And the right technique is to hold the end of the branch that you're tapping and then tap the middle of the branch, and those berries will fall. Yes, I don't know if you can see, but I've already gathered quite a few bullberries on my tarp. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to take care of this bush, the one I see back behind it, and on this flat there's several bushes. I'm going to gather a bunch of these bullberries, and then later on when I'm back home I'll show you how to easily clean them. But yeah, you don't have to kill the bush in order to get the berries. You tap it, tap 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 tap. The berries will fall if you're doing the technique correctly. Another thing about these bullberry bushes is sometimes people see a big patch of bullberries and they see no berries and they think something's wrong with these bushes. They're not producing berries. Bullberries are one of the plants that have defined male and female members of the species, and so sometimes you'll see a patch that's an all-male patch that isn't ever going to grow berries, and there's no reason to think that because those aren't producing you should get rid of them or anything like that. In fact, they're very necessary in order to pollinate the female plants that are going to produce berries. So just watching a couple of pheasants pass by. So yeah, this is how to harvest bullberries, and I'll show you a little bit more as I go along. What Iitao'tsstoyi brings down the sun was testifying to when he talked to Walter McClintock at the turn of the century and told him about his concerns about people that were beating up the bushes to pick berries. What he was basically indicating was that there's an ethics to harvesting any type of food, not just berries. But for instance, here I've picked, I've knocked down very quickly a good little bunch of berries. I'm going to pick more, but I got these off these lower, easy to access branches where I can put my catch tarp right below it and easily catch them. There's a lot of berries on this tree though that are higher up, that in order for me to knock these berries off, I really have to bend this tree over, stress it out, maybe break the tree itself And then because these branches that the berries are on, and there's a lot of berries here, but since the branches are so short, it's hard to grab the end of the branch and tap it to knock the berries off. And so really, in order to access these berries, you would have to really injure the plant. And why do that? Why injure the plant when it's going to be a food source into the future? Not only that, but you need to leave some food here for the birds. And so that's what I'm doing. I've harvested some berries off of this lower branches on this plant, but the higher branches, I'm going to leave these berries, and I'm going to leave them for the birds and other animals. I've often seen like raccoons out here eating these berries, porcupines, these kind of animals. So there's nothing wrong with leaving some berries on the bush if it's going to hurt the bush to get them off. Take the ones that are accessible to us by our methods, that are easily accessible, that aren't going to injure the plant. Leave the rest for the others. This is just the ethics of berry harvesting. Headed along the west length now, on my way back to the parking lot. A little bit of bullberries in my pack, not too much. The beaver lodge is such a significant feature on the pond here, just so large. No sign today of Iitao'tsstoyi, the little young porcupine that saw in these trees a week ago. Probably still around here close by somewhere, but haven't encountered her today. I did see a robin, surprisingly enough, back in the bullberry patch by the peninsula and South Pond on my way. I tried to get film, but as soon as I pulled out my camera, the robin flew away. I think it was a male, judging by the seamless orange breast. Nothing else huge to report. Still have not seen any grosbeaks, any red poles, any juncos. None of the little small birds that I associate with going into the winter in the river areas and the floodplains, but may run across some of them eventually. No sign of the kingbird today. I suspect probably did move downstream to that wilderness park area where there's better access to food. But we'll see as we continue to visit this area in the weeks to come whether or not he returns here. No sightings of eagles today, although I went into the river just the other day, a little bit upstream, where there was a lot of geese and there was several eagles on site there. I think because there's no eagles or no geese down here today right at the river, this is why we're not seeing any eagles. But if I had gone in at what's called Cottonwood Park, I might have seen them. Oh, here we have somebody. This is probably the little porcupine. See him up there? I'm betting that's that young porcupine, because the wood stack where he's been hanging out is right there, right? So makes sense good to at least confirm that he's still around. Yeah, what other significant changes from last week? Of course, we're seeing the mergansers, who are really summer residents but stick around pretty late. The Goldeneyes are here, finally. And yeah, I guess that's about it. We had a little bit of thaw, a little bit of refreeze. I think we're gonna have some more snow probably in the next 24 hours. Might go into a slightly warmer period, but probably not warm enough to open up the pond. The river will be hard to stay frozen once it gets around, you know, if the temperature lingers between 0 and -10 degrees, the river's going to open quite a bit. But in the next moon, it will dip below. Oh, here we see on the pond footprint evidence of animals crossing. I don't know if you can see it there or not. It's hard to tell with my little monitor, but it's either got to be coyotes or deer. And if it's coyotes, doesn't mean the water's too frozen, but if it's deer, it definitely is. I've seen another phenological note is that the young Canadian boys are out on the ponds playing hockey, and so that says something about the season. Anyway, I think that's about it for today. Gonna head out and see what changes by next week. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate how to quickly and easily clean your bullberries that you've gathered. This is not a lot of bullberries, but you can see it's full of little bits of sticks and twigs and leaves and that kind of thing. Now you could do the same technique no matter how many bullberries you have. If you have, like, this is a big pot, but if you have, you know, half of this pot full of bullberries, you can do the same technique I'm going to use. And basically all you do is you fill it with water. If you have a whole lot of bullberries, just do, you know, some at a time. You don't have to do them all at the same time. You got to get enough water in there that you want to have about 2/3 water, 1/3 bullberry. Alright, so you swish it around, and whatever is floating at the top is not good stuff. So this is actually berries that have been insect infested and are not good berries, and you have leaves and twigs and this kind of thing. You can just kind of scoop that stuff on the top off of there, throw it on the side. Got a little bag here to throw it in. Whip things around a little bit, get things moving on the bottom so that the floaty stuff comes up top. Pull all of that stuff off. See if we got anything else here. Just move the berries around a little bit, see what comes up. Not much left. Let's cull off the rest. Whatever's on top. Alright, so next we're going to need to get a strainer. Here's a good strainer. And Strainer in the sink. Dump the berries into the strainer. Separate water from berry, and there you have it. Nice clean bunch of bullberries, and those will be going into my morning locavore smoothies.